Welcome to I Got a Guy podcast, a podcast carefully designed to introduce a wide range of very talented and highly skilled professionals ready to share their knowledge and advice with you. Please welcome the host of I Got a Guy podcast, Michael Drelichars. Welcome to I Got a Guy podcast. I'm your host, Michael Drelichars. Thank you so much for being with us again this week. We really appreciate our loyal subscribers checking in with us every week, listening to our new guests. I really enjoy getting feedback from our listeners and thanks and comments about the guests that we've had. It's really fulfilling. I do this as a way to help out small businesses, and it's I don't charge my guests for being on the show, and I just do it as a way to give back. So when I hear feedback that it's been valuable or somebody's been able to benefit from a guest, that really it hits me right in the heart. So I really do appreciate that, and I look forward to more feedback in that area. So we thank all of our loyal subscribers. If you are new to I Got a Guy podcast, you can go to igotaguypodcast.com for a list of all of our past episodes, a brief synopsis of each one of our guests, and pick and choose which guest you want to listen to. Maybe you want to listen to them all, maybe you want to pick and choose and listen to a few here and there. But there'll be information how you can reach out to those guests to learn more about their services. And when you do talk to those guests, make sure you tell them you heard about them here at I Got a Guy podcast. And the last thing I'll mention is if you would like to be a guest on our show, welcome to have the conversation. You can fill out a contact form on our website, and that'll come right to me, and we'll have a conversation and see how we can get you included in as a guest on a future episode. So I always like to get new ideas and new circles of influence brought into our show. So it's really how we've grown over the time here. And we've got a lot of episodes out there and a lot more to come. So we really look forward to growing it with you. As many of you know, this podcast was really born out of the book called The Go-Giver. Bob Burg is the author. And the Go-Giver book was really important because most of us small business owners understand how important the value of networking is. For small business, you don't have a large sales force. You just want to get your message out to more people. And really, a referral group is just that. They're an extension of your sales team. And they're out finding people and talking about what kind of business you do. But the interesting misnomer in the marketplace is that referral networking is all about getting referrals. But as you learn from this book, and I've taken this to heart, the real power of networking groups is not about getting referrals. It's about giving referrals. And the more you give, the more you gain in return. But it's really focused on giving referrals, learning about your referral partners and how can you help them grow their businesses. And in this book, they identify 5 laws of stratospheric success. And the one I want to highlight this week is called the law of influence. The law of influence. It is defined by your influence is determined by how abundantly you place other people's interest first. Your influence is determined by how abundantly you place other people's interest first. So for a business owner that can do this, they have the foundation for a very successful business and a very satisfying business. And I think when you get to know our guest today, and this is a return guest, she's been on our show before, but when you get to learn a little bit more about how she runs her business, you're going to see how that applies so directly to that law of influence. So please help me welcome our guest this week as Terri Nystrom from Clark Dog Media. Terri, welcome to the show. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me again, Michael. I always enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely. Terri, you and I have been working together now for probably 7 or 8 years, going back to my previous business. And I've really enjoyed working with you over many years. And we've taken what started out as a business transaction, a business relationship, and grown it into a friendship. And I really appreciate that and enjoy our conversations and enjoy the evolution of what you do for my business. Because it's really evolved, and I'm thrilled, and I'm happy to have you on our team, so to speak. So thank you for that.
Well, I am as well, and it certainly has grown and changed and evolved over the last 7 years from something relatively basic to way bigger than that. So it really has been, wonderful working with you, and honestly, seeing how much your business has grown and changed too. I mean, it's exciting for me too.
Yeah, it really has changed, and that's one of the benefits of small businesses. It's almost like when you have a newborn baby, day in and day out, you can see significant changes when they're young, and a small business is very much like that. A minor tweak in a strategy can have a pretty significant change to the overall business, maybe the direction of the business, the profitability of the business, the types of services, and I think you're able to see that. I'm able to see that as well, and it's kind of fascinating. So, Terri, tell us a little bit about Clark Dog Media and how you got started, and you've got a really awesome history, but just tell us a little bit about Clark Dog Media, so our listeners who may not have heard our previous episodes can get a sense of what your business is all about.
Yeah, so I come from big business, and within the big business of the Fortune 500, I had the privilege to be able to be not only involved in sales, and sales is an important part because a lot of times sales and marketing don't communicate with each other. So the sales cycle of small businesses and small sales, a short sales cycle, to big business and large contract sales. So anyway, what I also had the privilege of doing was to be able to launch new products and services. So that has really helped me in where I'm going now. And I think one of the things that I truly missed when I was in the big business side of it is, as you kind of run up the corporate ladder, you got less and less involved in what was really happening and transpiring. And for me, one of the things I really love is being a part of the grassroots of the business. So anyway, I started this Clark Dog Media. It's been about 8 years ago or so, and it really just started out with doing some basic social media for businesses. But I soon realized that they really needed help with the overall, not only the strategy of it, but where they can spend their time and their money, and also someone that really would understand their business, because there's all sorts of folks out there and places you can go and people that are technically astute in what they do, but they don't understand business. So if you tell them what you want them to do, they'll do it, and they will perform that task well, but they can't really be very helpful in the business itself because they don't understand it, they don't know it, and honestly, for the most part, they don't want to know it. So they want to do what they do and move on to the next transaction.
Sure. So maybe strategy might be lacking.
Yeah. Yes, strategy is definitely lacking. And then if you have multiple areas that you need to do your marketing, and you might be using multiple vendors to do some of these things, they don't talk to each other. So the consistency and the messaging and the look and feel and all of that may be different, or it may take you extra time and extra money to make sure that it is happening if you have the time to do it. And I think the other thing is you never know whether you're paying too much for it or not.
Right. Agreed. That's actually really fascinating. It's a great foundation for our discussion today. All right, Terri. Well, thanks for that outline, and I'm really proud of how you've built Clark Dog Media, and focusing your customers and with all your background, all your experience in big corporate America. I think it really has helped you hone your skills, mm-hmm. And what I think is most important is for small businesses, so many small businesses, and mine's probably not much different. we have our area of expertise, but we don't have, I don't have all the skills in every area to be able to wear every hat successfully. I wear a lot of hats, and a lot of small business owners do, but we are not necessarily a master in all these areas. And so we have to, avail ourselves to becoming open to the idea of delegating and bringing partners in and other companies in to help us in those areas. And that's what I see you as a marketing guru, if you will, coming in to help us with the marketing effort. I've always loved marketing, but I'm not a marketing expert.
Mm-hmm.
And so bringing you in as a marketing expert to provide advice and guidance, you roll up your sleeves when you need to, you help get the job done. But with all your experience, it really adds such a dimension that I think a lot of small businesses miss.
Yeah.
So I thank you for that. And I've talked to, and as I mentioned, as I opened the show, and I talk so frequently about all the networking that I do, I know a lot of people that do marketing.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them are social media marketing or website development, and they do a fine job. I don't want to be disparaging to anybody, because they're all really good professionals. But so often we find that they have a menu of options: social media marketing, website development, logo creation, graphic design, whatever that might be. And there's a checklist of all these things that they include for whatever their price is. And where I've always struggled is I really need everything that's on the list.
Right. Yeah.
In that particular silo.
Right. And a la carte isn't an option.
Right. Most don't offer an a la carte thing. Not, and what's one of the benefits of Clark Dog Media is that you have evolved your business into becoming more of an a la carte, almost like a concierge.
Mm-hmm.
When you think about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So and I think we can start by talking about how you've helped Precise Fleet Tracking, because you do a lot for us, and and then we can talk about some of your other clients and some of the other custom solutions that you put together. But I've really been energized by some of the guidance that you've been able to provide. You started out doing our social media, Facebook and LinkedIn advertising. Mm-hmm. You still do that, which is great. But you've evolved into something that, frankly, no one else has ever offered.
Right.
These customized solutions.
Yeah, and I people, sometimes they get a little nervous about the word customized, but customized just means that I at Clark Dog Media want to be like just an extension of the team. I want to be able to know enough information and learn enough information about your business, as I have with you and my other clients, so that I can actually not only be versed in how to communicate it, but know how people receive it too. And I think that that's really a big deal. And of course, I utilize partners, and I've spent a lot of time defining and working with who are those partners that appreciate the fact that I'm going to make them look even better because I have taken the time to understand your business. And, you and I have gone a long way. To the point where I'm attending trade shows with you and doing some of the follow-up with those things, talking about how we're going to communicate with people when we meet them.
Right.
And how we're going to follow up with them, how we're going to communicate via email. What does that look like? What are we going to say? When should we say it? How should we say it? Who should we say it to? And, a lot of times people are like, oh, I'm just going to send out an email. Well, what are you going to send out? And, sometimes you have multiple audiences and you don't want to send the same thing to everybody. And just as you do, a lot of other businesses do too. It may be different industries, or it may be different functions within a business that you're trying to talk to. And,
Right.
they have different interests themselves. So that's the whole thing. And then what media should I be utilizing for what? And that's also a big thing, because sometimes people can be going down the wrong rabbit hole and not realize that the audience that you're trying to reach could care less about that particular
Right.
media.
And what now we obviously we market to a lot of small businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And as a small business owner, I appreciate that segment wholeheartedly because I can empathize with those small business owners. Even if it's a plumbing company, a towing company, a landscape company, different than my business, but the business owners, they wrestle with the same issues, wearing multiple hats and scrambling and just trying to keep the wheels of progress moving. And so many of these small business owners, also wear multiple hats, and many of them, well, how do I say this? They don't all want to be communicated in the same way. So understanding customer by customer, who wants an email, who prefers a text, who likes face-to-face meetings, who wants a Zoom meeting, they're all so different.
Mm-hmm.
And in our business, I don't want to be the biggest in the world. I want to be the best to the customer that we serve. And I have I don't have an inexhaustible list of customers, so we can get much more specific with each customer, and we know these customers personally.
Mm-hmm.
I've met every one of my customers personally, and now because you've helped. Not only are you a customer of ours, you use our tracking in your vehicle, so you understand what the system looks like. You understand what the tracker looks like and the value you get from it. But you've met a lot of our prospects at the trade show. You've followed up, you've called on them, you've talked to them, you understand some of their personal challenges. And that is something that the average marketing company ignores because they want to be more cookie cutter.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's a huge difference.
I think it's a big difference as well. And I find that, it's more transactional with some of the other businesses, or event orientated or project orientated, whatever you want to call it. And they too are looking for a bigger pond to swim in. Whereas I've spent a lot of time these last few years making the pond a little smaller, but the services or the help that I provide, or the partnership that I provide that's bigger. So
yeah, using your pond analogy, which I think is a great analogy, you have a smaller pond but a deeper pond.
Mm-hmm. Right. And
So you can go deeper with select clients in different ways to serve their specific need.
Right. So, as a couple of recent examples, so I've got a nonprofit as an example that I work with, and this nonprofit is sizable enough where they have a marketing department, but the marketing department serves many masters within this nonprofit, because they have a variety of different services and people that are responsible for those services. So the segment that I work with, not only am I their marketing right hand, they've made it a point to tell marketing department that this person is going to support us, work with us, and because they volunteered for us, they sit on our board, they understand in detail what we do and who our audience is, and the work that is done for them is they get more bang for their buck for that. And so that's a really big deal. And, as they get grants, it's like, let's work with Terri. One of the things they want us to do is work on a billboard. And how do we communicate that? And what should that, and we have an invite we need to get. We have several audiences. We have the people we need to have participate with us. And then we have our partners that we have to support. So, there's almost always businesses have more than one audience, whatever that looks like.
100%. Yeah. And that is, and every business is different.
Yes.
But at the same time, they're also very much similar. There's a lot of similarities in their differences, if that makes sense, Absolutely. Industry segments and what have you. That's great. Terri, we're going to take a quick break here. And then I want to get into more detail about some of the stuff you've done for us and how it's changed the course, and some of the stuff you've done for some of your other clients. Because I'm really excited about all the details and how you're not trying to be all things to all people, but really deep in those clients you do serve. Mm-hmm. So I think our audience will benefit from hearing that. So, but before we take the break, let's get your phone number and email address, or how would you like people to reach out to you if they would like to have a conversation with you about how you might be able to help their business?
So you can reach me via my mobile, 630-881-3577. And my email is Terri, Terri, at Clark, CLARK, dog, DOG, media, MEDIA. It's all one word, .com.
Great. All right. So 630-881-3577. And your email is Terri at clarkdogmedia.com.
Yes.
That's great. I'll put that in the show notes. It'll be up on the screen for our YouTube and Rumble viewers, and it'll be in our captions on our website, so people can find you and reach out to you and let you know that they heard you here on I Gotta Go podcast.
Wonderful.
So we'll be right back. We'll be right back in a minute or so, and then we'll continue with Terri Nystrom from Clark Dog Media. So stay tuned.
Thank you for listening to I Got a Guy podcast. I hope you're getting a lot of knowledge from this week's guest. But now a word from our sponsor. If your business uses heavy equipment as part of its daily routine, sadly, I don't need to educate you on the reality that this equipment has been the focus of many local thieves either. Precise Fleet Tracking Solutions works with business owners that own commercial vehicles and heavy equipment. We help these business owners enhance their growth and profit through the use of GPS tracking technology. Recovering a stolen asset is just one way we contribute to the bottom line of the business. Our GPS tracking units used in heavy equipment are weather tight so they can handle the elements and even have an internal battery to continue to report its location should the battery in the asset be disconnected. We have several examples of the benefits of GPS tracking in heavy equipment. Reach out to Precise Fleet Tracking Solutions for a detailed discussion about our options and to see if it makes sense for your business. You can find Precise Fleet Tracking Solutions at precisefleettracking.com. That's precisefleettracking.com. Or call us at 847-865-6008. Precise Fleet Tracking Solutions. GPS tracking made simple. Now, back to the show.
Okay, we are back. I am Michael Drelichars, host of I Got a Guy podcast. Our guest this week is Terri Nystrom from Clark Dog Media. Terri, thank you so much for joining us again. And very specifically, thank you for all you've done for Precise Fleet Tracking Solutions over the years. Our relationship has evolved. Your services has evolved. And I remember when we started, you were just doing Facebook posts and LinkedIn posts and creating the ad and creating the message and getting to know what we do. But it's been really interesting and actually transformative as you have learned more about our business. And, now you actually, you've participated in a couple trade shows with us. You've met prospects, you've talked to prospects, you've shared our story and our message, and now you follow up with our customers that we meet at these trade shows to set appointments, which helps me out tremendously because so I can just go and make the appointments, and you can continue to build a relationship, get it started. It's tremendous.
Well, and I love it, and we have changed a lot. I mean, one of the things that when we first started, there was this, like, we're just going to try and touch everybody. And as we have worked together on this, we've realized that we're expending a lot of energy to try and touch everybody, as opposed to flushing out the ones that are really a good quality fit, both industry and people and types of services, to the point where the success is far greater. And what things that it's not that we don't experiment with other things. We've tried some SEO, we've tried
all kinds of things.
We've tried all sorts of things, and we see what works, how it works. And sometimes it gets to the point where that's enough with that particular type of service or solution, if you will. And now it's time to utilize other components to keep the business moving forward. And I think that's also a really important thing, kind of the old Kenny Rogers, know when to hold them and know when to fold them. And there's sometimes it's time to fold that, or it's hold it, or whatever. The mix changes as your business changes.
Yeah, as the business changes, as the customers change, as the market changes.
Yes.
If I were talking to a brand new business owner, one of my words of advice would be, don't be afraid to try something.
Yeah.
It may not work. It may be a complete failure, maybe a partial failure, may just be a little expensive, maybe a lot expensive, but you got to try it, because you don't know until you can't read a book. There's no one book or one website out there to say these are the 16 steps you need to go through to build a successful business. There is no such thing.
Right. And I think sometimes too, you don't have to try everything all at once either, because
you're exactly right.
Small business, you can't possibly keep up with too many different things happening at the same time. And you don't want to do anything partially.
Right.
You want to give it's your full support, if you will, in order to see whether it really is something that's successful, or it's a short term. It works at this point, but it's not going to work any longer. So, that's another thing. People get really excited and they're like, oh gosh, I got all these different people calling me. I'm going to do a website. I'm going to do a blog. I'm going to do YouTube. I'm going to do constant contact,
videos, and
in the trade show. I'm going to do all these things. And then everything is done with lots of different suppliers, different messaging, all these people you have to try and coordinate. And you don't have time to focus on your core business. So
that's right. Well, we touched on briefly the trade shows, and back in late 22 was when I first had the idea to participate in a trade show. And I actually had mapped out, I was going to do a couple trade shows a quarter in different industries and get all these different contacts. And I did one in early 23, in January of 23, and it yielded a great batch of leads. And I did another one in March and another one in August. And it turned out that I didn't need to have, and participate in 12 or 15 different trade shows. And I dialed it back. So we tested it. I adjusted my expectation because I didn't go full bore into too many commitments. But it turned out great results. But you can get to a point where you get too many results that you can't follow up on, and then it's a waste.
Yes. Yep.
So, and I think you were instrumental in helping me kind of rein that in a little bit. As a business owner, I can get a little carried away with pie in the sky, big picture, let's go all guns blazing here and do all this stuff. But one of the values that you brought to the table was, I guess, a sense of reason, if you will. Mm-hmm. Let's be reasonable here. Let's crawl before we run, kind of thing. Let's get started. And then when it came to the trade shows, you also helped me design and lay out the booth. What materials do we need?
Right. And sometimes people, there's too many. It's like, I got to have so much of this printed material and this and that. And guess what? You know what? They'll take it. Will they do anything with it? Maybe not. Or I got to have a bunch of tchotchkes. Maybe you don't need a bunch of tchotchkes. And, I had another client where he went to some really large trade shows he was launching a new side business, and grabbed as many people as possible. And it was an expensive foray into trade shows. And yes, lots of names. We walked away with lots of names, but lots of names weren't really working. And my suggestion was there are a couple of offshoots that have some really good connections and some power into that community. And it might make sense to work at a partnership with them and attend some regional events as opposed to some of these big national events.
Right.
And, fast forward almost a year later, that's what this person has started to try and do. But, sometimes you need to go through what you need to go through in order to get where you're going. And since then he's called me back about, help me work on some of the marketing material with these partners. And, oh, by the way, could you manage the relationship with these partners? And yes, I can. And yes, I will. And I know how to do that. So, sometimes it's hard to see the forest through the trees. It's like it's like a big plate of food, or you order all this food and you're like, your eyes are bigger than your stomach. It's easy to do that. It's so easy to do that as a small business because you just get excited about it.
Yeah, we totally do, and that's where you coming in, not as an outsider, because our businesses. You have your handful of clients that you work with, and each of these businesses well enough where you can carry on a sales conversation. So the lingo, the jargon, you understand the services, but you're not so deep in it like we as business owners are, that you can wait a minute, provide some balance there.
Mm-hmm.
Another area that I know you've done a lot of work in is video work. I know I've done a number of videos, short commercials. And I know you've done some work with another one of a gentleman that has been a guest on our show, Corey Lusk from Calavisions.
Mm-hmm.
So you've done some video work with a couple of your clients. So tell us about that effort.
So, one of the clients that I have every year, we go and we spend time with Corey to do some videos. We do about 5 at a time. But my role in that is I work in advance with the client. We're going to talk about the topics and who the audience is and the points to hit on those topics. And that helps the client as well as Corey, because I've worked with this client now about 5 or 6 years, and they trust me to know their business. I mean, I'm learning about it all the time. I ask questions about it. I research it, and I'll be like, that's not really necessarily resonating with, as a receiver, how you've communicated that out. Let's do a little tweak on that. And then I will get the videos in advance and I will say, it looks great, but let's do this, or this doesn't quite work well. Make this little change. And so first of all, it gets done faster, but second of all, the client likes it because, when we're doing that video shoot, that person's looking at me like, what do you think? I mean,
right.
I know Corey knows how it's going to look, and that the collar's right and the microphone's right and the picture's right and your stance is right and your smile is right and all of that. But I know, and he's fabulous at creating these videos, and he's gotten to the point with this client that he can turn around pretty quickly and almost on the dime have it just the way they want it. And a lot of that is due to, us working together on these things. So, yeah, I mean, it helps.
Let's dissect that just a quick second here. So you got Corey, who's the videographer. He has the technical aspects of the video. So the lighting and the right equipment and the positioning and all that. You have the client who has all the knowledge of the business because that's their business. And then you bring in the marketing aspect from a standpoint of what the receiver is hearing and what do they want to hear that would resonate with them to make them want to buy.
Right. And he as
and
well
has
and he has a couple of different audiences too. He has the partners that utilize his services, but then he has the people that utilize his direct services for their businesses. So videos, you might have the same topic, but two different audiences. So now we've got to create two different videos. And it's better to have two short videos that are directed to the right audience with the right message than confusing them, with that. And also, making sure that people realize that, people don't necessarily want to hear war and peace. Let's get to it. Let's get to the message at hand.
People's attention span is pretty short nowadays. So you
is.
got to get to the point. But the value that you bring in is the part that I think a lot of business owners are lacking, and that is truly understanding what the person viewing this video or looking at this message, whether it's a video message, it's an audio message, it's a written message, but from a perspective of the end user looking at this message, what are they taking away from that message? And is that message compelling enough for them to jump on the call of action built into the message?
Absolutely. And you know what? And it's the same thing on whether I'm working with someone on their website or printed material or a flyer or whatever it is. Generally what happens is we get a content dump from the owner of the business. And then it's like, we got to,
sort it down and boil it down.
Make it something that somebody's actually going to look at and try and get to the point. Stop with a lot of the fluff and let's get to the point, because everybody wants to, it's unprecedented. It's all this stuff, let's get to what you're actually going to be doing. And, and a message that's short enough, because you're right. People's attention span, they're all busy. Hence all the scrolling and all the other things that happen. Do you want them to actually pay attention to it, or are you just checking a box?
Right. Well, and kind of dovetailing back to a previous conversation a moment ago when we were talking about the trade shows and the tchotchkes. I actually visited with a client today that we met at the recent landscape trade show, and he had mentioned that he picked up his bag of. I gave him a brochure that we actually had out at the trade show, and I said, I don't know if you have this stuff. I gave it to you at the trade show. He's like, you may have given it to me. He goes, but to tell you the truth, he said that bag of stuff that I collected at the trade show, which was 2 months ago, is still sitting next to my desk. I haven't gone through it yet in 2 months because he's been busy putting out fires and dealing with his business, which is appropriate. That's what business owners have to do. Mm-hmm. But, and with your guidance, you've helped us kind of focus in on, what's really necessary. Are people going to buy from you because you give out a squishy ball at your booth, or a coffee mug, or a pen? Or are they going to buy you because the value of services? So you've helped me focus and narrow in on, let's emphasize what we do really well and get that point across very clearly. And that is why people are going to buy from us. And, it's worked really well. So that's, I think that's what I really want our audience to kind of take away from this discussion, is that having someone like you, not necessarily on the outside, but on a fringe of the business, knowing enough about the business but having enough experience and other background that really helps kind of boil it down for us and help us, frankly, save some money and narrow in our focus, laser focus.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we've all been on the receiving end of someone, I have as well, when I was with big business, pitching me stuff that they don't know a thing about what I'm doing. And yet they're an expert on what I need.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And I'm like, I remember one conversation with one of them was like, I said, you have yet to ask me one question about my business.
Yep.
And, before you launch into anything, whoever you're launching in with, they should have an understanding of your business and your audience.
Yeah. 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 Some people are set in a different way. Maybe, back a few decades ago, maybe selling was different that way. And I know I've been in sales for a long time and it has evolved, but the reality is right now, as you said, attention spans are short, businesses are short staffed, and everyone wants to grow their business. So the business owners, the executives in the business, they're pulled in 16 different directions.
Mm-hmm.
It's rare that you find somebody that has a time. In fact, I find it hard to even find a business owner that has time to go out for lunch.
Oh yeah.
They don't have time for that.
Right.
You
Those
walk
days
in
are
like,
gone.
let's go. Let's get down to it. And let's get down to the why you here. How can you help me? Okay, I'm on to the next time, and they're going. And so as salespeople, we have to respect that.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
in our prospects. Otherwise, you alienate yourself, obviously. But we want to have successful businesses as well. And so that's where having that extra set of eyes and a set of experiences helps us in laser focused and serving our clients. And I have seen a tremendous uptick in my business because of the guidance that you've provided. And I really appreciate that. So I want to go on the record by thanking you officially. And I know I've told you this before, but you provided a tremendous value to my business, and I really appreciate that.
Well, I enjoy doing it. I enjoy working with you, and I enjoy working with clients that are open to, ideas and suggestions, tweaks, whatever. I mean, it's all about helping you, and the best way to do that is if we trust each other enough to be able to listen.
That's actually a really important component. You're exactly right. You got to trust, and I know about some of your clients. Your clients are in varied industries. We're not all in the same industry.
Right.
You don't do the same thing for each of your clients, right?
No.
Which probably makes your job pretty exciting too, because it's
does.
not cookie cutter for you either.
100%. That kind of thing floats my boat. I mean, all the other businesses, even corporate America, they were always calling on all sorts of different businesses. Might be the same array of products and services, but everybody, knowing different businesses. And I think that also has been very helpful to me when I'm working with small businesses, because I know a lot about different industries, multiple industries and businesses and how they operate, and can give people a perspective that they might not see otherwise. That industry may not be important to them, but what I learned from that industry or I saw from that could be useful to you.
Right. Yeah, that is awesome. And I don't know if you mentioned this earlier in the show, but I have knowledge that, you also owned a franchise several years ago, and that was the same kind of thing, right? You were doing the same thing, same kind of customers. So this is a big diversion from even your original small business.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And the original small business, they wanted to do cookie cutter marketing, even though it was not appropriate in some areas. And they wanted, as a franchise, they wanted me to spend thousands and thousands of dollars in direct mail to so many things that people just throw away. And I did not want to do that. So they weren't real thrilled with my approach on things. Let's put it that way.
Right. Yeah, no, but it's so, but that also lends to your credibility and your experience because you've been there, done that.
Yes.
And so your experience is so broad and it really does contribute to the value you provide today. So that's awesome. Any other thoughts you want to share? Is there any other examples that we didn't touch on that you wanted to cover?
I think one of the other, I guess, aspects, the only other thing I would touch on is that I do work a lot with people when they're going about doing their websites. And that is an area that, you and I've worked together on that a lot too. It is really, really important. And everybody's budgets are different on that. I mean, you can spend a lot of money or you can spend virtually nothing on it. And there's always a happy medium depending on what you're trying to accomplish with your website and what the ultimate purpose is for it. And because websites do have a lot of different purposes. And, oftentimes the website people want you to have the Cadillac of, or the Lexus or whatever, and you don't need all those things. And are you looking to have employees utilize it? Are you looking for the audience to do something, or is it just to show that you actually exist? But one of the things that is important is never to let any of those things grow old. They need attention, and they're important to have both the marketing space on a website as well as some of the digital marketing out there and the social media. Is that people nowadays, even if they get a referral from somebody, they're gonna check you out.
Right. Yes.
So make sure that you have a good place for them to check you out.
You're right. I've heard from many customers that have said exactly that. They got my email, whether it's a business card, they got my email address somehow. And so for a small business, so my personal advice to small businesses is if you are running a small business and your email address ends in AOL.com, you need to change it.
Yes.
If it ends in gmail.com,
right away.
And obviously the Gmails and the AOLs, they work just fine for email. There's nothing wrong. I'm not trying to be disparaging against either of those companies. They're awesome companies. But when you're a small business trying to portray your image and you want somebody to find you and find at your value and understand what you do, if your email domain matches your website, it's a lot easier for people to do that because the buyers out there are savvy enough. And so I just encourage customers and a lot of times it's in businesses that have been around for 30 plus years when, before the websites were even, that big of a deal and they've had this email address forever. I get it. I totally understand it. But if you're trying to grow your business, I really think you need to have your email domain match your website and so people can find you. Because when I see a customer, when I meet somebody new, I look at their email address and I'll go to their website. I'll take the domain. I'll assume it's the domain of the website, and the website doesn't have to be the glitziest, the fanciest, the flashiest. It doesn't have to be the Taj Mahal, but it has to be effective and provide value.
It does, and where I work with people on that is there's a ton of website developers out there, or they want to be developers. And it's the same sort of concept. And I will be participating with the client, with the calls and getting the website going and what it looks like and the look and feel and how much they should spend and whether they're spending too much or not enough, or that's a reasonable amount. And, what are we trying to accomplish with it? and helping once again, because the website developers, for them, it is quantity. And
Right.
so my job is to make sure that it's quality and that there is somebody there that has been vetted, if you will, and also to support you in that, because you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
And everybody is like, it's like diagnosing yourself online. People are like, I don't know what to do or what to ask them. No, you don't. You could get a million different opinions out there and get anything you want to support what you want to hear. And so,
Right.
that's another thing. It's like having an advocate, always having an advocate on your team.
Right. Right. That is really critical, because I know I personally get 3 emails a week from companies that want to redo my website, want me to do SEO, Google search, search engine optimization, search engine marketing, or cold calling,
Yeah.
or sell me a list of potential prospects, and they all tell me that they understand my business, but we've never met. It was a blanket email that has typos in it, and it looks terrible, and it's like, so they all go in the delete folder. So hopefully none of our listeners market their business in that way. I don't want to offend anybody, but I know when I get those emails, the first thing I do is I delete them.
Same.
Because you do need an advocate on your side. You need somebody that will take the time to learn your business and appreciate it. And it's not about cranking out to the next customer and getting a next customer. And I do the same thing in precise fleet tracking. Is I don't want to be all things to all people. I want to be the best possible provider to those customers that really need what we offer, and allow me to serve them and give me the opportunity to serve them really well.
Absolutely.
And I think that makes a big difference.
It makes a huge difference. Difference. It does.
And I know when I go to bed at night, I'm exhausted because I put in a lot of hours, but I can rest comfortably because I know I've done a great job for each and every one of my customers. And I welcome new customers each and every month, and we're happy to fold new customers into the family, if you will. But I'm not looking to attract 1,000 new customers this month.
Absolutely.
I don't want it.
Absolutely.
So it's and I know that's how you approach your business.
100%. We are in sync on that. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So okay, well, Terri, I really appreciate all your thoughts, your ideas, your explanation of how you serve your clients. I'm hoping our listeners really get a good sense of how you help small businesses and really take their needs to heart, but also provide candid feedback. You're not just a wet yes person saying, yeah, of course, Mr. Owner, you know everything. You provide the balanced feedback and the honest feedback, which I appreciate. I know when you tell me that I'm off my rocker, that's okay. I want to know that. I'd rather know that early than late.
Absolutely.
Because it happens.
Yep.
So
that's where the whole trust thing comes in. So anyway, thanks for having
very
me.
much
I
so.
always enjoy being invited to be on the podcast, and of course, working with you every day. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Yeah, it's been great, and I look forward to many more years of growing our businesses together and watching them evolve, and who knows what the next wave will be, the next batch of technology, the next new thing. But we'll be ready for it because we're nimble and ready to do it. So, Terri, why don't you share your contact information again with our listeners? Phone number a couple of times and your email address.
Phone number again is 630-881-3577. Email is Terri, Terri, at Clark, CLARK, dogmedia.com. And that's one word, except for the .com.
Great. Terri at clarkdogmedia.com. And Clark Dog Media is your business. And so if any of our listeners have ever wondered if they need to make a shift or need some marketing advice or ideas? Maybe they want to grow in a certain area and they're trying to figure it out. I really encourage you to give Terri a call and have a consultation. Just have a conversation. It's easy, and see if it makes a fit for you. But I trust that it would be, because it's worked out for me and for several other businesses, and happy to promote your business wherever we can, Terri.
Thank you.
So, and as I've mentioned a couple times throughout the show, my day job, my primary business is Precise Fleet Tracking Solutions. We provide GPS tracking solutions for businesses that own commercial vehicles. And we help these vehicles enhance their growth and their profit through using our GPS tracking technology. And there's a lot of ways to do that. It just depends on what's the needs of the business. Some people want to track assets to protect against theft. Should a vehicle or a mower or a bobcat be stolen, they want to recover those vehicles, those assets. Some people want to know how many miles they drive in a given year. Some people have to report fuel tax to the state. We can do all that. So if you have a need where GPS tracking would be of value, I'd love to have a conversation with you. You can find us at our website, which is precisefleettracking.com. That's precisefleettracking.com. Or call us at 847-865-6008. That's 847-865-6008. Or you can email me at michael@precisefleettracking.com. Love to have a conversation with you. Start the dialogue. Maybe it's a fit now. Maybe it's a fit 9 months from now. That's okay. Whatever works for you. If we can provide value, we're certainly going to do that. No high pressure. Just want to serve more people and help them get the most out of their very expensive assets that they have on the road. So I thank you for that. And let us wrap this show up here. And again, thanking our listeners for listening through the whole show. Encourage you to share this episode with your friends, your neighbors, your fellow business owners that might need Terri's assistance. And stay tuned for future episodes. We'll have another one next week. And make it a great week. Take care.
Thanks, Michael. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to I Got a Guy podcast. For past podcasts and more information, go to igotaguypodcast.com. That's igotaguypodcast.com. Please share this podcast on your social media feeds and tune in again next week to I Got a Guy podcast.